Let's fucking go.
Everybody, welcome to the Common Game Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and today I am here to review Gladiator 2, the long-awaited sequel to, well, I wouldn't say long-awaited sequel, but this movie has been talked about for quite some time, to Ridley Scott 2000, early 2000s, Oscar-winning, iconic movie of the same name, Gladiator. That one, that's probably Russell Crowe's biggest, most iconic role. There are some really, that movie is, I feel like, everything that people think about gladiators, a lot of depiction of Rome in modern, in the modern world came from that movie Gladiator. And it's pretty much Russell Crowe's most iconic movie. In my opinion, it's the movie you think of when you think of him. Are you not entertained? It's one of the most all-time greatest movie lines in the history of film. And that movie holds a lot of, that movie is held to a really high, like I say, a really high standard. It's one of Ridley Scott's best movies. And it's also the movie that, I don't know if he won an Oscar before that one, but he definitely won Best Picture for that movie. So 24 years later now, 24 years later, he's making a sequel to his old Gladiator movie. Now, Ridley Scott, modern Ridley Scott is different from that Ridley Scott. Back in the day, Ridley Scott was cutting edge. He was really pushing pushing things. Modern Ridley Scott isn't quite like that, but I'll get more into that as I get into this video. But the movie a sequel to Gladiator has been rumored for a long time. I'd probably say there are a couple movies in Hollywood, sequels that have been rumored, sequels that have been batted around, sequels that have been talked about. One of them being Kill Bill 2. Like Quentin Tarantino's Kill Bill 2. Like, Kill Bill 2 has been batted around, it's been talked about, it's been out there in the air. Like, it's been something that's kind of been floating out, and but we don't think it's gonna happen. But it could happen. We're all like, it could happen, it could not happen. Same thing with this Gladiator 2 movie. No one really knew if it was gonna happen or not. I didn't know if it was gonna happen, but it was rumored. But once it was announced it was happening, once the cast started coming out, and you heard names like Denzel Washington and Pedro Pascal, and you hear these big names being announced to be in this Gladiator 2 movie, you get pretty excited. And Gladiator 2 is released. Now, Gladiator 2 takes place about 15 or 17 years after the events of the first Gladiator, after Maximus's death in the Colosseum. Now, Maximus was Russell Crowe's character in the first movie, and Maximus raged against the machine. He killed Joaquin Phoenix's emperor in that movie, and, he really tried to push for Rome to change. 15 years later, like I said, 15, 17 years later, things haven't really changed at all. But in the movie, they introduced Maximus' son, Lucius. Now, Lucius is a little boy in that movie, so you really don't pay too much attention to him. One, because it's clear that Ridley Scott never planned on making a sequel. Like, it's just probably something that came to him, but I digress. But, so, we follow Lucius, who many years later, he's found a new home, he's found a wife and whatnot. His wife is killed by the Roman Empire, and he's captured and turned and forced to fight in a gladiatorial arena under Denzel Washington's characters. Denzel Washington's character is the one who finds him. Denzel Washington's, Marquinus? I think I'm just going to call him Macrinus or something. Macrinus finds him, makes him fight for him, and Macrinus promises him that he can give him the head of the general that killed his wife, who's played by Pedro Pascal, as long as he fights and then wins in the arena for him. He wins in the arena for him. It's not too dissimilar, like in terms of like the actual motion of the movie, too dissimilar from the original Gladiator. But that's just the basic gist of it without spoiling anything. I'm going to talk about the positives about this movie first. First of all, Ridley Scott is old guard. He's right there with Spielberg, with he has an old school vibe to him when he directs something. Like I said, like a Spielberg, Why am I blanking on homie? Like a Cameron, like a James Cameron. There are like a Quentin Tarantino. There are directors who have a vibe to them who come from the old school, like a Martin Scorsese. That's where he is in that area, you know. So Ridley Scott, when he produces something, when he is the mind behind something, you know it's gonna look great. You know it's gonna have great sound design. You know it's gonna be shot great. There are things with directors of this caliber that you just know. Like, you just know. You're like, this is gonna be shot great. This is gonna look great. This is gonna sound great. The costume designs look great. And that's the same thing with this movie. The costume designs look amazing. They really captured. It looks even better from a visual standpoint. It looks even better than the original Gladiator. It looks amazing. The costumes are amazing. The sound design is amazing. The score is great. The acting across the board is generally good. Like, it's what you would expect. Like, this movie on a base level is a 7 out of 10. And there are certain directors who just, that's their base level. I remember I said that I didn't like Tenet. I mean, you guys go back and look at my review. I did not like Tenet. I did not like Nolan's Tenet movie. I thought it was just, I don't want to get into that. You can go watch my review of Tenet to see my opinions on it. But I had to give it a 7 out of 10 based on the level of production. It looked great because my issues with the movie were story, character, and stuff like that. But from a technical level, same with this movie, Gladiator 2, from a technical level, it is great. It is worth the price of admission just to look at these action sequences and the spectacle of it all. It's almost worth going to see it on its own. But, so, from that level, it's a 7 out of 10. But, like base level, it's a 7 out of 10 movie because I don't like certain things about a movie and I'm down on certain things, I can't appreciate the things that work. And those are the things that absolutely work about this Gladiator movie. Is on a technical level, it's probably one of the best produced, best directed, best designed visual spectacles of the year. Now, that's pretty much most of my positives. Because outside of that, this movie is missing something. And I can't really tell you what it is. It's missing something though. Like it's really, like, I can't describe it to you. Like, I'm trying to think in my brain, but it doesn't give anything room to breathe. It really doesn't. It doesn't give anything room to breathe. Everything just happens. This movie is a movie of things just happening. Like, there's no, like, not that there is no rhyme or reason, but there feels like every major plot point is missing a beat. If that makes any sense. Every major plot point, take case in point. One of the biggest motivation for Lucius in this movie is the death of his wife early on in the movie. Great. But you only get like 5 minutes with him and his wife. So there's no time to really get an opinion, to really get an idea of how loving and how much he loved this. There's no real time to really get that, which was fine because I thought that they were gonna maybe they're gonna show it over the course of the movie in dream sequences, show his life with her, show him meeting her. I thought maybe they were gonna get into it, but they really don't. They don't do that. So what you're left with is a revenge story, but you don't give a shit about the reason he's getting revenge. I like to equate this to the John Wick movie. John Wick, they give you straight up 15, maybe 20, I think it was 15 minutes of nothing but focus on this dog and his dead wife. So you get 15 to 20 minutes to really get the understanding of the connection between him and his dog, between what this dog represents, between what his wife felt meant to him. You get other people's opinion on it. They did a great job of setting up why he wanted his vengeance. And by the time they kill the dog, you're like, yes, go get him. That's not the same thing here. I didn't feel the heat. I didn't feel it. And then when the trailers, I was like, okay, I'm at least gonna get a revenge story. But you really don't get that. You really don't get a great revenge story. So that right off the jump, but it's other things. It's beat with his mother. It's beat with characters he meets. It's beat with actors. There's certain things that just happenstance. That's coincidence. This character did this, just happens to do this, just happens to do this. There's a lot of that in this movie. And it's not as noticeable at the beginning of the movie, but the longer the movie goes on, the more it's just like this happened and this happened and this happened because it's like, okay, this is getting ridiculous. Like, it's like, is anything, like, it felt like a movie where the writer was just like, it was so plotting, if that makes any sense. It was so, I could see the plot, which all movies have a plot. All movies are fictional, they're interpretation, there's pieces of art, you know, but I could see the plot. I could see the screens. And it was like, yo, I shouldn't be able to see these screens. I shouldn't be able to see the plot. It shouldn't feel like this is happening. It felt like they were reading off a checklist. So that's one problem with this movie that's just overt. And that problem could have been fixed if they had more time. Who knows? But I'm not sure. Also, Denzel Washington, as excited as I was to see him in this movie, and he's not bad in this movie by any stretch of the imagination, but he's the only character who isn't even attempting an accent, which I don't mind because he's Denzel Washington, but it really, really sticks out, especially as big of a role as he plays in the movie. If he wasn't playing that big of a role, maybe I wouldn't have cared. But he's a big part of the movie, and he just sticks out like a sore thumb that he's the only one, not even trying with the accent, like even a little bit. So that was off. That just threw me off right off the, kind of throws you out of the movie a little bit right off the bat. Also, the main protagonist is boring. There's not much to Lucius, other than everything about him that you're supposed to give a damn about is really weighing on how much you care about Maximus and his wife in the events that happened in the first movie, not who he is in this movie. So it's just like everything keeps equating back to Maximus. Like, this movie really relies heavily on how much you enjoyed the first Gladiator, which wouldn't be a problem if this movie had other things that were good about it outside of it on a technical level. So that was all. So the main protagonist doesn't work. I always say this. Look, you got the crappiest movie in the world, but if the main protagonist is great in it, if the main protagonist works, the movie works. That ain't the case here. The main protagonist was boring as hell. I'm not even gonna lie, dude. I was just like, I'm waiting for him to get interesting. The ending was pretty just flat. It just kind of happened. Like, there's no build up. Like I say, this movie is a movie of missing beats. It is like, there's a missing piece to every sequence. Spoiler alert. Beginning of the movie, he gets captured. His leader gets captured along with him. His leader's all like, yeah, I'm gonna die. And when I die, like, his leader's doing all this shit about he's gonna die. And like, they didn't play it up. And they do that with every death. Every death is so understated. It's just like, okay, that happened. I'm like, wait a minute. It was dramatic up until the death? I'm like, they do it so much in this movie. And every time they do it, I'm just like, you're taking the steam out of scenes. This movie takes the steam out of very epic looking sequences. And in the end, when I walked out of the theater, I was just like, maybe this was something that should have been a show. Maybe this would have worked as like an 8-part show, because making it a I guess it'd be like a 2-hour and 20-minute movie. Maybe it wouldn't have helped. Maybe it would have still had these missing ass beats. But I tell you one thing, I'm gonna still give it a 7 out of 10 just because on a base level, it's a great movie. On a base level. But damn, man, that character sucks, man. I ain't gonna lie. That main protagonist, there's not too much to him. Like I say, the entire thing hinges on how much you enjoyed the first movie. And if you enjoyed the first movie, then you're gonna like it. If you didn't, then you're not even gonna like this one. But anyways, I would check it out just for its action sequences are still cool looking. Denzel's still giving a pretty good performance, even though he doesn't have an accent. But I don't know. Comment below and let me know. What did you think of... I would give it a 7 out of 10, by the way, if I didn't make that clear. What did you guys think of Gladiator 2? Comment below and let me know. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next one. Goodbye.